Welcome to NewtoMedia, where we connect you to the best service professionals and help you learn about great experiences all over the world.
Hello, my friends.
Doing better than I deserve.
Hey, that's a good answer. I like that. It's a really good answer. Might have to borrow that one from time to time. So, where are you located at?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Well,
So
you know, Pennsylvania, same diff.
It's a good spot to be, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was in New York and LA, and I'm now back with family after 10 years.
Nice. Family's always nice. You get out there to the busy cities of New York and LA, and then you want to come back home so bad. All it is just hustle every day. And then it's like, man, I can't live like this forever. This is crazy. So, yeah,
and I feel like I gave up. You did LA.
Did LA. I was in Santa Monica for years. And then I've done New York in and out teaching and doing little gigs here and there. But never spent like lots of time in New York City. It's always been too overwhelming for me. It's not my cup of tea. I like a little space.
Well, you're a yogi. You're a meditative type of guy. I feel you. I think I love the wound upness of New York. But then as I got older, I was like, I need some like serenity.
That's right. You're like, I could use a little peace. I think there's a point in our lives where we get to where we're just like, you know what? Kind of over all this stuff, I just like to sit back and relax and enjoy the ride a little more. And I think that's kind of why people run away from the cities. That you typically make it 5-10 years tops before they decide they want a family and they realize there's no way you're raising a family in LA or New York. Not conducive whatsoever. I mean, it's definitely a different world. So how do you like it where you're at?
I actually really love it at 33. I don't think I could say that at 23. I would be so bored. I'd be like, give me some more. But the Pittsburgh has really evolved into this like kind of tech town / character, revitalization of neighborhoods.
Nice. Well, tell me more about that because I really don't know much about Pittsburgh. And I only went there once, and afterwards, I wasn't ready to go back. I learned that I was not going back to Pittsburgh.
Well, I gotta ask you, what the hell were you there for?
I was. It was. Man, I had worked and lived up in Richmond, Virginia, for a number of years as a sales rep, and I had a territory. And somehow that territory bled into Pittsburgh, and I had to go to Pittsburgh to close some deals. And so I was over there and out, and it was just chaos. I mean, complete chaos. And there's some cities in the world that, it's just a weird vibe. Like Baltimore to me is one of those places where like you just never feel comfortable. You just always feel kind of like on edge, So it's and yeah, exactly. Like, what's going on here? Like I'm always going to be watching my six. So Pittsburgh was one of those places. So I'm glad to hear it's being revitalized and turned around. Is it gentrification? Is that what's happening?
Yes. And take that for what it is worth. I know that they are, the city is very protective over like new developments and not like creating affordable housing opportunities if there is going to be a huge development. So sometimes things just don't go through in the city because they want to preserve that character and history behind the city. It was a steel mill, blue collar town, dust and soot in the 30s. My grandparents are still alive will tell you they wouldn't go into the city because they'd come out like all charcoaled up or they'd ashed up and it'd be like dark and it was this dirty town.
Yeah. You ever think back to those days where people wore like natural products like cotton and wool and that kind of stuff, and they didn't have washing machines and, marching through the mud and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, man, the smell on each person, the dirt, the amount of time it took to clean your boots. You know what I mean? Like we're so spoiled now. We have pavement everywhere, and we don't. Most people don't even touch the earth with their feet, which is crazy to me because I do a lot of grounding and I'm big into that. But Pittsburgh's a much bigger city, so I mean, is there plenty of dirt out there to get your feet into?
You know what? Everybody moves to the suburbs, and then you'll have the city people that are like, they feel like they wouldn't even go 10 minutes north. But when I say everybody moves to the suburbs, it's like any big city. You go like maybe like 10 miles out, and then you could get, a yard, and you could spend a third of the cost of what you would spend. But that being said, I mean, I don't think that like it really matters because you're going to need a car either way in Pittsburgh. I don't think it's that impressive of public transportation. So,
Okay.
when I say that, like I love to live in the city, but if you really want the yard and the kids and the school district, like, 10 minutes or 10 miles is nothing really. It's to get that groundedness.
So first note to anyone looking to buy real estate in Pittsburgh areas, you're going to need a vehicle. Don't rely on public transportation.
Yeah, I know some people do it, but they're very rare, and I even know myself, I tried it. It's not my thing, I did it I think I did it better in LA because, you don't really wanna be in traffic.
No, well, it takes longer to drive anywhere than it does to scooter or walk. I mean, you can go from Santa Monica to Venice on foot way faster than in a car. And
Right?
don't
It's
even
just
bother
weird.
going to WeHo. It's like nonsense. That's 5 miles away. I
Exactly.
always laugh at like the dating sites and any type of locating sites out and anywhere you go. Like where I live in Orlando, Florida, it's a, you know, pretty much 30, 40, 50 mile radius that you'll reach out, for farm area, for your real estate, whatever it is you're doing. But in LA, it's like 1 mile. And you still have more people than you know what to do with. And it's just the craziest thing. So I've always thought it was an interesting concept. So bringing you back to Pittsburgh and doing real estate now, what's the area called that you chose to farm?
I have two different farming communities. I have Shadyside, which is in the city, very affluent,
All right, tell us about
historical
shady.
properties.
So it's not shady; it's actually a good shady.
It's so beautiful, and the name doesn't really match, but maybe there's like some kind of oxymoron. I don't know if that's the right word. What is the right word? It's
Yeah,
like
it could be. It
it's
could
some
be play
irony
on
there.
words, irony. Yeah, shady could be as long as it's not sketchy.
Oh no. No, no, no.
It's
Yeah,
the
but it's
opposite of sketch.
yes, it is. It's very sophisticated, walkable, cute character, expensive, but you get what you pay for. You want that
Sure.
zip code, you want that neighborhood. And it is interesting to me. It is a little shady on the other side of the tracks, if you know what I mean.
There's
Like
always the other side of the tracks.
yeah, like you
No
go from
matter.
like Shadyside to like maybe there's like this other area that's close by, and then you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah, you're like, hang on, did I make a wrong turn somewhere? Because I was just in multi-million-dollar home development, and now I'm in. I don't know where I am actually, but they're selling pit bull puppies and barbecue over there on the corner. If that gives you any idea. So you've been
I
doing the
know.
shady area for a while. Are you pretty established there? Is that
You know
connected since
what?
you said families there?
Yeah, you know what? Close by Bloomfield. I grew up in Bloomfield. It's Little Italy of Pittsburgh. So, they're all very close to each other. However, my parents live out in the suburbs. So that's like a development that I've decided to farm as well. So, like between the two, I feel like I got my schedule pretty jam packed.
Yeah, that does sound like a busy schedule, but I mean, you know, keeping busy is a good thing, especially at what 32 or 20, 33. I mean, you got the energy
33.
to run. You got the
I
energy to run.
know.
I'm at the tail end of my real estate career, so I'm ready for retirement and the easy life. That's yoga, podcasting, that kind of stuff. So it's 20 years as a realtor. Whew, that's enough. So I'll do the deals for my friends, but outside of that, I'm gonna refer everything out from now on. And so,
Right. I think you
and I
gotta
think
put the
that's the
time
goal.
in.
Yeah. Well, once you put the time in, I mean, it's like I tell everybody, I said, the goal for me as a kid, when everybody asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, was retired. And that was my answer because that's the truth. I wanted to retire. I don't want to work. Well, why would I pick a job? I want to retire. So I figured out ways to make money and passive income to be able to create the opportunity to retire a little early. And, then you get to that point and you realize, okay, I probably should do something for another 20 years because this is a long wait without anything going on. So, podcasting, real estate, I have my obvious already existing podcast, my yoga teaching, my online stuff. So, I have projects to keep me busy, to keep me occupied, but it's certainly nice to not have to go show homes. So, what's the best part of your area? What's the most famous spot to see?
I gotta ask you, that's always the dream. Like, even me as an agent, like the passive income, like, I want to be involved with like the new developments, or, even myself, like not buying the property for me, but buying it as passive income, and, the duplexes and the triplexes. But I'm curious how you kind of got like into that mindset, because you just wanted to like, you know, take a break or have an easier schedule or freedom.
I've been 20 years in the business, so I was there when the housing market crashed. And, I have always had a firm belief, and there's no such thing as a good market or bad market, just the market, and it's what you make of it. And so I was flinging homes like everybody else when they were selling like hotcakes, and you couldn't fill out paperwork fast enough and making the money. And then when the market went south, I went to doctors and people with lots of money and income and said, hey, now's a good time to buy real estate and invest and build a portfolio. Let's get you 10 homes. You give me $3 million. I'll get you 10 homes. I'll buy them for you. I'll do all the paperwork. You'll never even see them. I'll put tenants in them. We'll rent them out, let them sit and appreciate. And then once their market goes back up, we'll sell them. We'll clear the books. And these guys were all about it. And once one doctor jumped on board, he told his buddy, another doctor, that guy threw me $3 million. Another guy threw $3 million. Next thing you know, you're managing portfolios of homes, which have passive income, which that brought in passive income for me as well as their property manager, even though I was really just the real estate. I was just kind of keeping an eye on things. But yeah, and so once that started to happen and the market was so low, I started picking up a couple properties of my own under the same model. And, then once the market went back up, it was like, oh, okay, got renter income here, lots of rental income here. Cause obviously right now the rental market's out of control, so it's like, if you can buy low and rent high for a long period of time, that's a great system to be in. So, I mean, I think there's a million ways to get there. You just have to be creative and have to look for people that are always going to have money, because people are always looking somewhere to invest. And right now, doctors aren't looking to invest in the stock market because the stock market's volatile. So look into the housing market, but you've got to get the pitch together. You've got to tell them what you know. You got to show them that you can handle it. You got to show them that, $3 million doesn't intimidate you. You're going to turn that into 6 million. You know what I mean? And once they understand that, once they believe in you, then they're going to hand over their money and you're going to get a portfolio built. And once you get one going, as long as you do a good job, you're going to get more business. And so now you're not out peddling onesies and twosies and picking up foreclosures. You're actually out there buying portfolios worth of homes. So I give you more information on the side if you like, but we don't want to give away all the secrets, right?
I love it. I'm really soaking it up because, as like a new agent, I was a property manager for my dad's business for many years remotely. And I would come on site if he had to take a little holiday. And, it's been an experience to say the least, negotiating rents. And I mean, he, like you said, purchased in cash these properties in a neighborhood that was not like super expensive, but it was a good strategic location to the city. It was Bloomfield, Little Italy, and then kind of evolved and kind of grew from there and purchased another one and did the gut renovation work. And as myself, like, I do love to specialize in selling to people that want to do a gut reno project, because I studied engineering. I went didn't like it, but had that like AutoCAD SolidWorks experience and like that precision of an engineer. And I kind of incorporated it into my design business. So got a design certification, started working for this like custom luxury Italian firm in LA. And I just kind of evolved to like specialize in real estate sales, where people that want to do those older homes that grandma or grandpa recently passed away, the children need to offload the house. It's not great, but it has so much potential.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've carved out a very niche business that you could really market well. I mean, with the design side of things and the build out side of things. I mean, you're a one-stop shop turnkey project, from taking a renovation to a rental or to a sale, whatever people are looking for. But, know your strengths, find your strengths and put those together and market your strengths. And then you'll always end up on top. I mean, you just have to know what you want, know how to do it. I mean, everybody's out there trying to sell real estate. Real estate, no one sells real estate. Real estate sells itself. No one's out making an impulse $250,000 buy. I'm not out there talking to someone, hey, this house is the best house for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the case. We're not salespeople. We're really more like showcase people. But we also got to know our market. We got to know our information. We got to know what we're doing. We got to know what we're talking about. And it has to be authentic, because if people sense that it's not, or you do bad business or shady business, not using shady in a negative term, because I know that's your farm area, but but if you get caught on one of them, you're done. Once your reputation's gone, that's the end of it. So it's all about relationships and reputation. And once you get those two things established, man, it'll take you a decade and you'll be done, retired. Pick up one passive income home for yourself every time you buy 10 for someone else. And you'll do that, and then work it as a project and live in it while you work it. You know what I mean? Or find a renter and buy duplexes. And like you said, there's a lot of different ways of going about it. It was just, for me, worked with single family homes and finding doctors who wanted to build real estate portfolios. Just one idea though, and then if you've got the cash to be able to pick them up and do it yourself, it's even better. But I didn't have millions of dollars laying around, so I had to be creative.
And most people don't, they build their millions of dollars over time, and you got to figure out a system, whether that be, sponsorships from your podcast or even just the home flips. I mean, I have like a relative that reached out to me just from putting out my business on social media, and they're like, hey, we have some money. We would like to kind of start doing the flipping because we want to avoid holding on to these capital gains taxes. And like, they already knew the system. They just said, since you're family, we trust you. Let's get this ball rolling. And I felt like very fortunate to get that call. And it was just from being more out there and loud and proud on social.
Well, and that's really all it is. I mean, whether it's social media nowadays, it seems like that's the best way to go. But, or events, evening events,
I love
that kind of stuff. I mean, face-to-face events with the county, with the city, with that kind of stuff. All of that is going to work out in your favor, because it just puts you around more people, more business professionals and industry professionals that all know and have connections for the things that you're going to need. Because it takes like 10 people to make a real estate transaction work out, right? And so the more you can build those 10 people to be people you work with well, the more success you're going to have, as far as learning to cultivate an area and make it what you want it to be. But it sounds like you got a good starting project. Now, is it going to be in the shady area?
You know what? There is multiple areas now. I know that some of my colleagues are like, what the hell? You're just starting out. Why are you driving an hour here and then 30 minutes here? And it's like, I said to them, I'm open. I'm single. I'm young. I don't have kids. I want to just diversify any location, but everybody's got to give their 2 cents. They're like, well, you got to start off like blah, 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 like in your community and build from there. But I'm like, I'm taking out any project and I'm teaming up with one of the people in my office that has those contacts, has been in the business, was the vice president of a title company back in the day, moved all over the country, and she and me are ready to take the new development projects by storm. She is a, talented networker, but also she like really wanted me as like the design background to be able to implement my taste level and software skills into helping these developers and contractors pick and choose materials.
Yeah. Well, and that's a brilliant place to be. I worked as a new home site rep for years and made a lot of money selling new houses. And it was great because they were new. They came with a warranty. There was no like, oh, didn't know about this type things. But, they've all got to be staged. They've all got to be decorated. They've all got to be set up properly. And that's really what makes them easier to sell. So if you've got that design style to you and the background to support it, man, you can do a lot of different things from that. So tell me about it. What took you out to LA and New York? Was it the dream of being an actor or model, or were you an aspiring juggler? I mean, just about everyone in LA is an aspiring something.
You know what's so funny? I just got back from SF, San Francisco, and I actually, when I graduated from Penn State in industrial engineering, I really wanted to take this opportunity in San Francisco because it was a pretty solid salary. I think it was like $80K in 2014. And then I got the other offer in New York, and I was dating my college sweetheart that we were like gonna get married, and we end up doing that. Unfortunately, it turned out an early divorce, but needless to say, I was pulled into New York, married, and then in some ways I kind of liked New York because of the fact that I could just be public transport guy, and I love that like grunginess, like that gritty chic. There's the elements of like a little bit of gentrification in Lower East Side where I lived, but then also
I want to be mugged 1 out of every 5 times I leave my house. It just adds a little excitement to life. I totally get what you're saying, though. There is
when
a
you're in your
certain,
20s.
Instability.
Yes.
And that instability is kind of appealing. It's kind of like living the wild, wild west. You're out there doing the craziness. And people really don't understand how busy New York City is, but it's just insane. And then nothing's ever closed. So it's
it's great for somebody who likes to be a weekend warrior. I was such a party animal, but like a work hard, play hard mentality. But that did catch up with me. And I realized that like every time I would get started on something, like whether it be like commercial modeling with the agency or art department production coordinator with this, production company, I would always just be so like dead after like a week of like celebrations and all that. So I always felt like I was plateauing, just being that work hard, play even harder type of guy in New York.
Yeah. Well, and for sure, both places brought experience that is invaluable for what you're doing now.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
you can handle the hustle and bustle in Pittsburgh because it isn't anything like what you were doing before. And I got to assume you're doing some modeling up here based on this photo, unless that's somebody else.
Honestly, like I love
that's your brother,
doing
your younger brother.
You know what? My younger brother is even taller and better looking, but I will say, I feel like I've always had this like confidence through the roof, even before I was like age 10. I don't know where that comes from because I think both of my parents are a little bit more like, I don't know, reserved in a way. I've just always been like provocative, like want to be in the limelight, this, that, and the other. I don't know where that comes from. I just
a performer,
love
born
it.
at heart. You love it.
Yeah.
It's some people are born, they say the number one fear amongst Americans is public speaking, which to me is crazy because I have zero fear of public speaking. I'll walk out in front of 10,000 people and it won't even faze me. But the number 2 fear is change. Number 3 is death. So like we're afraid to change and public speak before we're afraid to die. That's pretty crazy. So I think some people are just born with like a certain gift for being in front of people. I have a son like that. I've never taught him to sing, dance, act, and want to be in front of people and on a stage, but this kid is in front of people and loves it. I mean, wants all the attention.
Yeah.
So
I
I
used to
totally
think it
understand
was
that.
a bad thing, and I don't know how your son feels, but, like, do you, like, encourage that side of him to really shine?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do personally. I find that I think that he's the next Justin Timberlake. He's the singer, dancer, actor, performer. He has no inhibitions. He loves to be in front of people. And I've seen that side of the world. I've worked in that industry as a photographer. I was for years fashion photographer and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I know how shallow and empty that world is, but as long as I've got his back, I can kind of keep him safe from because I mean, it's not intentional. It's just is what it is, right? I mean, nobody's
Yeah,
like, hey, I don't like you or I don't like the way you look. It's just you're not the right look for this part. And people
right.
take it personally and then it beats them down and it cuts into their soul. But if you just realize, like, if I showed you a shirt and you're like, hey, Ryan, you like this shirt? And you're like, nah, it's not really my style. You wouldn't be upset. You'd just be like, that's just not his style, right? So, but people get all bent, right? Oh, I didn't get the gig. I didn't get the gig. Well, you might have been perfect, but just not perfect for that role. So I think it's key to remember that, going through life, because same thing in real estate. I've had real estate clients that worked with me and didn't buy from me or didn't use me as their, and I don't take it personally. I understand it's business. You make your decision based on what you feel is best for you. I honor that. I respect it. I don't take it personally. I assume that there's a reason why I wasn't meant to be the right, agent for you. And typically, as the whole thing plays out, it usually always ends up being like, all right, I'm glad I didn't have that one. You know what I mean? Like maybe the friendship was more valuable than the business relationship, or maybe it was just going to go south the whole way. Or maybe it was just a big fat waste of time, but it's like nobody stops to think about, well, this person turned me down, but it could be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. Like we're all so quick to jump to the worst case scenario, but in reality, it's like, that person might have just done me the best favor I've ever had done in my life, because now I don't have to deal with any of that drama that's going on or whatever it is. So to me, it's very important to accept the gifts of business and the gifts of no business. Take that time, understand
Yeah.
that it's important, right?
Well, and I'm new to the game. I mean, I know that I have the mentorship of my great aunt who got me involved with 45 years of experience. But, like, for instance, like a couple friend I'm working with and potentially my brother and sister-in-law. And I know that they have other people in their circles that are from Pittsburgh that have been here the whole time that are agents. Everybody's like, would you be offended if they used their contact from, like many years? I'm like, absolutely not. If they feel like that's a better fit for them, just because we're related or just because we're super close doesn't guarantee me their business, nor would I want to push that on them and them feel, oh, well, he's only been doing this for X amount of years. I know I'm confident and I could get the job done. And I am very, intuitive and insightful, but I would never try to like make somebody feel like they had to use me, where I think some agents do kind of put
Yeah.
that pressure on. Oh, well, we're related. You better
Yeah.
use me or I'm going to be offended if you don't. I'm never
Right.
offended.
No, you just move past it. But I mean, you're right. A lot of people do get offended. I always tell people, do not hire your best friend or family members as your real estate agent.
Oh,
Do not.
shit. Well,
I'm
that
like,
just happened with me.
it's the fastest way to run a relationship, because no matter how good of a job you do, there's always going to be some perspective or some perception that you could have done better, and that could always affect the relationship going forward. And to me, that's just not worth it. Family and friends are more valuable than business. So I'm always like, listen, think about the idea of what you're doing, because a real estate transaction is It's falling apart the entire time that it's happening. Every day you wake up, there's a problem that's going to end this transaction, right? Through the whole process. And your job is to act like a duck, be real calm on the surface, but underwater, you're paddling like hell to keep things moving, and it's like those little feet are kicking because there's a craziness going on. Title companies yelling at you. You need this other realtor to get in touch with you. You got an inspector on the back end. You've got an investor over here. You've got to get title. And it's just, it's chaos. But the better you are keeping that from your clients, only give them what they need to know, I think you'll be more successful. I always ask my clients, like, hey, do you want to learn the business of real estate, or do you just trust me to do it? And I'll just fill you in with what's going on. They're like, nope, you do you. I don't want to do this. And that way it's like, I'm not going to let them know about all the stress and chaos that I'm dealing with, because that's kind of what we're paid for, right? Is to handle that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I don't put that on them. And most of them are like, Kris, look, this is the worst job I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how you do it. You've been stressed out the whole time. And it's like, and it doesn't bother me. I found yoga, 20 years ago. And so meditation. And matter of fact, if anything, the agents get upset with me for being too calm. They're like, Kris, don't you ever get mad? Don't you ever get upset? I'm like, no. It's just a thing, some work out, some don't. It is what it is. Like, but I'm never like, oh no, here we go. Worst case scenario, jumping off a bridge. Nah, not my personality. So once you learn how to accept things for as they are, I think you'll have a much healthier and better relationship with your clients. But, it's not to say that it's guaranteed, but typically you're going to do better. A logical, calm mind and body is always going to be more well received by people than somebody who's always freaking out and stressed by that, and they're sharing all the stress with you as the client, and the client's like, I don't want to know this stuff. I just want the house to close. So it's you've got to kind of learn how to absorb but not give any out. Just like take in all the words and then just give them a little synopsis. That would be my recommendation for keeping things on the clean.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could totally relate. In my design days, like, there are so many issues with, like, products coming from Italy and, like, logistics and things not arriving on time, electrician not showing up. But that being said, I think the biggest wisdom I learned, or like, I guess the most paramount thing, was there are going to be fires to be put out weekly or daily, and you just have to always expect that there is something that is going to come up and it's going to be a shit show, and you are just there to like manage and dampen the fire. And like you said, I feel very calm, cool, and collected, because at the end of the day, like, this is not brain surgery. We will get the job done, and we will find you the house that you love, or we won't, and we'll design it and gut reno it.
Yep. And there's a million things that can happen, but if you sit around and worry about all those things, then you're never going to enjoy the process. And at the end of the day, 99% of the people end up happy and in a healthy home, in a healthy situation. It's just the process is overwhelming, and it can be a lot, especially from your side. You've got even more with the design side of things. I mean, that's a whole nother set of confusion issues, time related issues. I don't know how many buyers you've had yet that have packed up a truck, moved down to wherever you're going. They're ready to move into the house, and the house doesn't close that day. And now they have nowhere to go. All their stuff's in the truck. Then they can't close till Monday, and it's Friday, and you've got to tell them that they can't close. And they're like, can I put the stuff in the garage? And you're like, nope, it's not going to happen. But it's a tricky
find
game,
them a
right?
rental.
Because, and if they don't have the money, what do you do? And these are the things that we have to figure out. Try to figure out a solution, right? But you can't panic. You can't let them see you panic, even if you are panicking.
Yeah, and I even think I used to panic a lot when I was like starting out my career, and then I realized, what, you show them that you're doing everything in your power and you're available 24/7. And I know that sounds easier said than done. It doesn't bother me as long as I pick up the phone or respond to the text. They're happy even if I don't have the answer right now and then, like I could just be like, I am working on it. And I really am. It's just more or less like, that there's not really sometimes a solution. Maybe I gotta, like you said, if they can't move in, it's like, maybe I gotta get on my app and get the Airbnb, and can you give me your Discover or your Amex and I'll book you this Airbnb, or you want me to do it and then you pay me back. Like, let's just figure out a solution, because I'm not here to like complain and make you spiral.
Right. Exactly. That's a great point. And that's finding a solution to the problem, no matter what the problem is probably the number one part of our job that is the most important, because I can't even tell you how many times the situation has just been one of those where most people would just throw their hands up and go, I don't know, and I've had people tell me all the time, this deal's not going to close. It's not going to go through. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's going to close. It's going to go through.
Right.
And they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, yes, it is. Exactly. And I'm out there doing research online, looking up programs, trying to find money available, trying to find ways to get. But once you figure out the solution, and like you said, responding to your clients, because no answer is the worst, because now they're all kinds of paranoid. But if you just say, hey, I'm busy, I'm working on things, I know you're there, I'm thinking about you, I'm working on the problem, then they're happy. So, I mean, that's probably the number one thing you can do is stay in communication with your clients, keep them on, because they don't necessarily need to know that you've gotten the problem fixed. They just need to know that you're working on it.
Yes. And, like you said, tell them only what they need to know, because we have a lot of clients that want us to take the stress out of the equation. So if you are giving them, like, some engineers want to know every little detail, but then, some stay-at-home moms, or like, I don't know, a creative person, I guess, if you will, they might not want to know those details because it's going to make them emotional or it's going to set them off. So I'm going to limit the silly things that I have to deal with.
That's right. Exactly. And that's well said, and a good, solid foundation for building a real estate career. I think you got it going on, man. Sounds like Pittsburgh is the place to be. And if you're going to move to Pittsburgh, you got to contact Ryan directly. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And if there's ever anything I can do to be of help, you've got my number, you've got my information. I'm excited to pump this out there to everybody so they can learn more about you. So thank you for your time today. Thanks for the patience. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll jump on a yoga class sometime soon too.
Yes, that's a great idea. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Kris, and look forward to continuing this pod with you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We got lots of things to work on. So we'll be talking again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get out there and practice those things you believe, and stay strong, brother.
Thank you.
Take care, my friend.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Let's go! Let's go!